How much home can I really afford? That's the thought you have laying there at night, talking with your significant other. You just want an idea, but you don't want to talk to a loan officer. You don't want to fill out an application. You absolutely aren't ready to have your credit pulled. So what do? You watch this video and I'll give you the details. It's not going to give you an exact, but it'll get you in the ballpark of where you fit in, so you have an idea of how much home you can afford, because that's the first step, right? You don't want to talk to me yet. You're not ready, and I get it. For those of you, my phone number is all over this page, so you can call us. But for the rest of you, pay attention, because I'm about to give you the tool to find out a ballpark of how much you can afford, and then I'm going to give you some ideas that I know you didn't think about that you really need to factor when you're shopping for a house. So here we go. We're going to jump right in. Okay. So it's mathematical. Get a pen and paper, grab your calculator, whatever it is. Here we go. So the first thing you need to figure out is, what is your yearly income? Okay. Easiest way to do this, look at your W-2. It tells you in box 5 your total yearly income. And let's just say that for this scenario, it's $120,000. Okay. This is the first place we start when we start doing our math. Remember, this is a ballpark, not exact, but it'll get you pretty close. Then you're going to divide that by 12. Why? Because mortgage companies, lenders, banks, when buying a house, use monthly income. So if we divide that by 12, we end up with $10,000 monthly income. Okay, this is the income that we're going to put into the file. Now the system automatically finds its debt to income ratio. Now debt to income ratios are different, guys. That's why this is just a ballpark. So some go to 56, some go to 45, some go to 50. All depends on the program. But this still gets you in the ballpark. Then we're going to divide that by 2, and that gives us $5,000. This is our usable income. This is one of the most important numbers that we need to identify, okay? From this, we're going to subtract our monthly obligations, okay? So your monthly obligations, everyone's is going to be different. In this scenario, this person has $200 a month in credit card debts. Now, this $200 is the minimum credit card payment, not the full payment that they make, not the payment that they want to make, the minimum payment that's on your statements, okay? So add those all up. If it's one card equaling 200, if it's 10 cards equaling 200, whatever your number is, you're going to have to subtract that number from this number. So $5,000 is our usable, remember. Subtract our credit card payments, subtract your car payments, subtract your student loans, whatever you pay to a bank monthly, okay? And there's no fancy edits here. There's no fancy on-screen graphics. This is shot one and done, guys, so I hope you're grateful. You add these all up, or you subtract them from here. So 5,000 minus 200 minus 650 minus 350. We get a grand total of $3,800, okay? So $5,000 minus 200 minus 650 minus 350 leaves you $3,800. This is the max mortgage payment that you could possibly have. So you're trying to figure out how much house you can afford. So the first thing we identify is, what's the max payment I can afford? Okay, so that's how you do this. If you want me to do this for you, give us a call. We'll help you out. But this is so you can do this at home, so you can have an idea. So now that we have the max mortgage payment, we have to figure out the max purchase price. Okay, and this is where you start messing with numbers. Okay, this is where you need a good mortgage calculator, by the way. If you want the calculator that I use, that I like and trust, give us a text. We'll text it to you. You don't even have to talk to us. We'll just text you the link, okay? Now, the mortgage calculator, you're going to have to put in extra data into this, okay? You're going to have to put in a purchase price. You're going to have to put in a down payment. You're going to have to put in your homeowner's insurance. You're going to have to put in your property taxes. An HOA if it has an HOA. So it does need more data, because your mortgage payment isn't just what you're paying back to a bank. It's going to include more data, especially your taxes and insurance. And this is where a lot of people mess up. If you don't know your property tax rate in your area, reach out again. If you don't know what fire insurance is going in your area, reach out again. We're here to help all the way through, okay, guys? But this just gives you an idea. Remember that. This isn't your exact. This is just an idea of where you stand. Now let's get to the mortgage calculator, okay? So all the data's here. You already see the answers, okay? So what I did was, remember, our max is $3,800. So what I did is I started at, let's call it 600,000, okay? And I realized that that was way too much because I eventually got to 475,000, okay? I put the minimum down payment for FHA, which is 3.5%, okay, 30-year fixed loan. I put in an interest rate that a person's likely to get today, and I put in the property taxes at 1.25%. Now, this one is going to be different depending on where you're at, okay? If you're in California, this one's pretty solid because California is somewhere between 1 point to about 1.35, 1.4, somewhere in that range. So this is in the middle at 1.25, okay? And then my homeowners insurance falls in line to California as well, okay? So if you're in Texas, this is way different. If you're in Florida, this is way different. Why? Because in Texas, the property tax rate commonly is 2%, which is much higher than 1.25, okay? If you want to know your area, once again, just reach out. We'll get you the data. Also, if you're in Florida, this is way different. Why? Because $125 a month, you know, on the Panhandle, your insurance could be $300 a month, depending on where you're at in Florida. Okay, it could be $400 a month. So this is very important. But once again, guys, this isn't getting you an exact. It's getting you in the ballpark of what you can afford because you're not ready to talk to a loan officer. For those of you that are ready, call me. But for the rest of you, this gives you a good idea. And we can text back and forth and I'll give you these answers. We don't even have to talk, okay? Just know that. Now, once I put in all this data, okay, we come up with a total payment of $37.10. So for $10,000 a month, you can roughly, you know, pay a $3,700 payment because our math said you can forward a max of $3,800. So $3,710's in the ballpark, okay, a little less. And that's a $475,000 purchase. Okay, now let's break it down. Principal and interest. This is paying back your loan right here, $2,823. Property taxes at 1.25%. That's $495 a month. Mortgage insurance. Why? Because you're putting less than 20% down. Anytime you're putting less than 20% down, you're going to have an extra premium called mortgage insurance. Okay, now this is FHA. So mortgage insurance, whether you have an 800 credit score or a 600 credit score, doesn't matter. It's going to be 0.55. That number in this file is equaling to $268 per month. Homeowners insurance, we already talked about that down here. It's $125 a month for a grand total of $37.10. Okay, now let's go a little deeper. Because like I said, property taxes are going to differ depending on where you live. But it's not just depending on where you live, it's depending on what kind of house are you buying? Are you buying a resale house that someone's lived in for 10 years or more? Because if that's the case, you're probably not going to have special assessments. And if you do, there'll be very little. You're probably not going to have Melrose. And if you do, they're going to be very little. But what if you move into a brand new construction? An area where they developed the whole field, where they put streets and sidewalks and had to run plumbing, had to run electrical, had to develop out the whole area. Well, those brand new construction areas are going to have higher taxes because they do have something called special assessments or Melrose. And what those are is they raised money through a bond, let's say $100 million, so they can build streets, roads, run piping, run electrical, do all the stuff they needed to do to build out the community. And that money needs to get paid back. And it gets paid back by those that buy those houses. So your taxes could be higher. I don't care if you're in California, Texas, Florida, New York, anywhere in the country. When you have new development, you typically have higher taxes. So that also has to be factored in when you're doing these calculators, okay? Now, the other thing to factor is your fire insurance, your homeowner's insurance. So when we say homeowner's insurance, we're typically talking about fire insurance. If your house burns down, you have to be able to rebuild it. If a bank's going to lend you money, they got to know that you're able to rebuild it. Now, if you're in Florida, once again, insurance is a lot. If you're in South Texas, insurance is a lot. If you're in the middle of Nevada, you're probably got dirt cheap insurance. So where you live matters. If you want particulars for your area, we can walk you through that too. You don't have to get pre-qualified. You don't have to pull your credit. You don't have to have a big old long conversation with me about your finances. I can give you these little baby steps just so you have an idea. Okay, for those of you that are ready, for those of you who want to get started and you want to buy the house now, give us a call. Our phone number is all over this page, or you can go to the link in our bio, in our profile, and you're going to click on apply for a home loan now. Till next time, guys, have a great day.